long ago, and maybe you could guess, I voted against it. That's that Dodd-Frank bill. Did you ever hear of that? In that bill, they gave more power to the Federal Reserve, and they created a Board of Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, protect all the consumers. So they were given a task here a couple months ago, and it was designed to make things more efficient. That's why this story will tell you why efficiency is not the answer to our problems. We don't want more efficient government. We want to get the government out of the business that they're not supposed to be doing. This new Consumer Financial Protection Board was given the task of simplifying the application for a mortgage loan, because it's complex, and now they're more complex because they had a bubble. They don't know where the bubble came from, because it was probably because they didn't fill out enough forms. So they said, what we need to do is simplify these forms. So they went to work, and indeed, they came up with a solution. They provided a solution. It was 1,000 pages long on how to reduce 2 forms to 1 form. All these new regulations placed on everybody who applies for a bill, and they think that will be the solution. But that isn't the solution. The solution is get the government out of our lives and off our back and out of our lives. We are serious, and when we have the clout, what we do is we don't tinker around with 1,000 pages to simplify things. What we do is we repeal Dodd-Frank is what we do. And there was another time when Republicans, when they were in charge, they passed the Sarbanes-Oxley. It's cost businessmen about $1 trillion with new regulation. But that was when the conservatives were in charge. So when we're getting rid of Dodd-Frank, we get rid of Sarbanes-Oxley as well. I am convinced that we're living at a time that an era is ending. And this is significant, because you can be depressed at times when you look at what's happening in Washington, you work hard, you come close to victories, you don't have real victories, it goes on and on. He said, this is too overwhelming. And Washington is responding too slowly. But the end of an era provides an opportunity. And I'm thinking recently about what era are we talking about? And I would say, first off, in the last 100 years approximately, what about 1913? That was a beginning of an era. That was a beginning of a time where they said, you know, with the income tax and the new foreign policy, we're going to make the world safe for democracy, and we're going to have a war to end all wars, and we're going to have a Federal Reserve that's going to get rid of the business cycle, on and on. We were going to introduce this wonderful era. Well, guess what? That era is not with us anymore. It's over and done with. We're just looking at the last vestiges of a bad program started in 1913. We will eventually get rid of the Federal Reserve. Started, and that was the domination of the oncoming of communism in 1917. The Bolsheviks taking over, and communism was a panacea. It was all done with good intentions to take care of the people. All those wonderful promises. Well, communism lasted 74 years. It dissipated between 1989 and 1991. The People don't talk too much about communism anymore. At the same time, communism brought about, it's hard to count when it gets up into the hundreds of millions. It is estimated that possibly 200 million people died by people who were able to put bad ideas out on the table and look at the tragedy of what happened. That era is over and done with. We are not going to see the world go back to that type of a program again. When I was still in medical school was Dr. Zhivago. And I remember one line in there when Laura was talking to Zhivago, and things were very, very bad during the revolution. And she says to Zhivago, "What a terrible time to be alive." And she was absolutely right, anticipating just what was coming. But I think things are different now. I don't think we should be as impressed. We have more knowledge now than ever before. We also had the 1930s, a continuation of the progressive era. We had the Keynesian economic policies taken over, the New Deal policies taken over, the fascism of Hitler and Mussolini, and they contributed to another 25 million people that died, just the fascism of Europe. So the 1930s didn't do as well either. And then that, of course, when you have bad economic policy, when you get involved in a war to end wars, it's only a war to begin more wars, and you end up in another world war, we end up, again, another World War II, and then after World War II, we have this internationalism come in. We have the development of the United Nations, the IMF, they set up, of course, they were working toward worldwide currency, so they set up this Bretton Woods agreement on money, which was a total farce. The good economists, the Austrian economists at that time said, it can't work, it won't work. And indeed, when it fell apart, it was a very, very impressive day for me. Because like it is tonight, a Sunday evening, it was on a Sunday evening, August 15th, 1971, the Bretton Woods monetary system collapsed. But that was predictable, and that's over with. And there are some, there's no doubt, would like to go back to that, but it also gives us the wonderful opportunity to advance forward. In more recent history, we have had the advancement of these failed policy. The project for a new American century. You already know there are a bunch of neocons running that show. They closed their office in 2006. That doesn't mean they're gone. That doesn't mean they're not influencing most of the politicians in Washington, but believe me, they're losing steam. Right now, the wars that have been fought in these 10 last years has given us $4 trillion worth of debt, are unpopular, we can't afford them, the American people want us out, they want to bring the troops home. They're going to listen to the facts of life, and the facts of life is we can't afford it anymore. The Soviets didn't leave because they had an enlightenment. They left because they were broke. And they so foolishly got bogged down in Afghanistan. So why don't we wise up and just take care of ourselves and defend our country and not we're in the midst of a change, providing an opportunity for a revolution towards liberty. This has provided some very serious problems for us. It will not be smooth sailing, but there's reason to be optimistic that we can have great achievement. But to me, the three problems that we have to face. Number one, that I see as the problem, and if we solved it, it probably would solve most of the other ones. And that is the attack on personal liberty. And you have a natural God-given right to your life. Therefore, you have a right to your liberty. And we defend all life and all liberty, regardless of our judgment about how people are using that liberty. Then we would have the natural sequence of saying, if that is the case, you have a natural right to keep the fruits of your labor. And all of it. Once again, you'll be able to drink raw milk. You'll be able to make a rope out of hemp. You will be able to feel secure in your houses that the federal government will not be able to spy on you or bust into your house or all sorts of things. You will be allowed, without a government permit, to buy nutritional products and where you please and what you please. No longer will the government assume they have the responsibility of protecting you against yourself. Nobody can do it. The emphasis will no longer be on economic and personal security. The government will take care of us, but it will be emphasizing the government is there to protect our liberty. You know, they can give us security, you know, whether it's economic, which always fails, or whether it's personal security. But you will become, if the government says we can provide you with security, isn't that what we do with animals that we breed to raise up and eat? I mean, this is what happens. They're secure. You put them in cages, you put them in fields, you fatten them up, you take care of them, they have all the food they want and the best nutrition until it's time to butcher. And this is the same. So what you want is liberty. You don't want this false sense of security that governments cannot give you. Now, it is true in a free society you can pick nutritional products and you can make your own choices, and you can drink raw milk. But you also, in a free society, you're allowed to make even more controversial choices. You might even decide to drink alcohol. And you know, there's a little bit of risk in alcohol, but in a truly free society, they tried that alcohol business one time. It didn't work very well. Too many politicians drank alcohol, so they finally repealed that. You will be allowed to make a decision on what kind of, what things you smoke and drink or eat, whatever you do in your life. What's the argument is what would happen to the world if they had freedom of choice to invite drugs and all these dangerous things? Well, why don't you go back and look at American history up to about 1938 and find out how many people were using these drugs in the 19th century. So, once again, it's who gets to make these decisions. But the hardest thing for some people to accept, both liberals and conservatives, on this issue of tolerance of your freedom. Yes, we want you to have your freedom, we want you to make your own choices, but we're not going to tell you that you can't make bad choices. People say, well, doesn't that mean you endorse it? What if people drink too much or smoke too much and make their own choices? Well, there's one rule. They have to assume the consequences of their actions.